Chapter 46. Down to Size. "That bastard!" Valerius hissed as he jumped to his feet, eyes locked on Ilarion as the green dragon circled High Reach. Caden's haze of pleasure fell away as he watched the titanic green dragon cut through the sky as if he owned it. If there was one thing he knew, such arrogance would not be tolerated by either Valerius or Raziel. Cold memories of him and Valerius battling over the skies of Reach filtered through his brain. He remembered the dead and the dying by the gash. That would be nothing if Valerius and Ilarion attacked one another.
He knows you're not in the castle, right? I mean, it almost looks like he wants you to come out and play.
Caden said after watching Ilarion for a few moments more. Scowling, Valerius growled, "He will find out that I do not play." He focused on Caden, who had gotten to his feet as well then. "You will stay here. I will handle this." Caden, though, grabbed his arm.
By handle this, what exactly do you mean?
"I will knock that son of a bitch out of the air and then roast him with fire," Valerius roared, his temper rising up like a volcano. Caden could hear Raziel in Valerius's voice. The spirit and the man were speaking as one. A quiver of fear and awe ran through him. Red light flared in the Black Dragon King's eyes.
"There will be violence. There will be death."
Iolaire whispered.
"This cannot be."
Wait. Ilarion is right over Reach. You take him out, and he takes down a part of the city.
Caden reminded him.
Just us tussling a little bit killed over a dozen people. 2 titanic dragons fighting over a population center? What do you think that will do?
The last part had a guilty flash going through Valerius's eyes. The red glow reduced slightly. "Shifting in my territory and flying around my capital city without my permission is the height of disrespect. I cannot let it stand, Caden. You give Ilarion an inch, and he will take miles." Caden's mind tumbled. He understood that territory was all important to dragons. He was certain Valerius was right, that if he didn't go after Ilarion, the green dragon would consider it a victory and increase his tactics. But he also felt that any contest between the black and the green dragons would lead to greater tragedy. Iolaire was rigid inside of him. He felt warnings coming off of the white dragon.
"No violence. Must not allow violence,"
Iolaire said. It was speaking far more than ever before, anxious to get its point across.
"Arrogant green dragon. Poisonous and foul. Must not fight, though. Not now."
Yeah. Okay, so Ilarion is an asshole. How do I make Valerius realize he's not worth turning into a charcoal briquette?
Caden asked.
"Ilarion is not worthy of notice,"
Iolaire said, and the image of a fly circling a mountain.
"Insignificant."
Oh, right, got it. Ilarion is doing this to get a rise out of you, Valerius.
Caden said.
He wants you to fly up there and challenge him, because that makes him important and worthy of your time. So that's the last thing you should do.
"The last thing? I cannot just ignore this." Valerius pointed to the sky with emphasis.
No, you're right, but it's how you respond that's important. Let's not play his game. Let's not attack him.
Caden said, as Iolaire presented him with an image of the white and black dragons flying together towards the green dragon.
Iolaire thinks we should make a united front.
"What? You are not going up there. You are staying here."
Iolaire disagrees, as do I. We go up and meet Ilarion together. We don't attack. We look like, parents, disapproving of a teenager's antics.
Caden raced out as Iolaire sent him more images.
It'll be clear that he's being an asshole, not being a good guest, and that we don't approve. But most importantly, it'll make his posturing seem like what it is. Pathetic and weak.
Valerius blinked. Iolaire is a strategist. Iolaire was still rigid, not sure if Valerius and Raziel would agree with them.
I think Iolaire isn't fond of fighting, But I think it's right, too. I mean, Ilarion is just edging for a fight. We shouldn't give him what he wants. Not giving him what he wants should be our main goal at all times.
Caden said. That will frustrate him no end. Valerius gave a grim smile.
Exactly. We should just treat him as if he's a badly behaving guest and not a challenge to you.
Caden put a hand on Valerius's chest.
You're the king of kings. He's not even a pretender to the throne.
A full-body shudder went through Valerius. But then he gave a nod. He caught both of Caden's biceps. If he attacks, you will retreat. Do you understand? I do not need your help in fighting him.
Yeah, I don't want to fight. And I know you got that part of the equation.
Caden assured him. His shoulders twitched just thinking about going up against the mammoth black dragon.
But you don't fight unless people's lives are at stake, right?
Another tight nod. Caden could see his jaw muscles working. Valerius was not liking this, but he was going to do it. Caden felt like dancing. But then he remembered they had to shift and face Ilarion. His mouth went dry. Let us go, then, Valerius said, before turning and running out from under the canopy of trees. In a blurred moment, he turned from man to dragon. The black dragon flapped its mighty wings and was up into the air. Caden was stunned at the beauty and magnificence that was Valerius and Raziel. His breath caught, and he stood there, frozen. Valerius turned his head around and looked back at him.
All right, time to shift.
Caden closed his eyes.
Iolaire, please help me do this without messing up.
Iolaire chirruped and flapped its wings. Caden opened his eyes and ran. He picked up speed and leaped.
Please, please, please shift!
He fell, flat on his face. The air left his lungs and he let out an oomph. Dazed and cheeks burning with shame, he gazed up at the black dragon looking down at him. A thought came from Valerius. Stay there, Caden. I will handle this.
No, I can do this.
Caden reached for him. I will keep to the plan. You remain here, Valerius said.
But
Valerius, though, was already flying towards Reach. Caden slammed his hand against the ground.
Damn it, they're going to fight unless we're there, Iolaire. I just know it.
The white dragon spirit flapped its wings in agreement. Caden got up to his feet, dusted himself off, and looked at where the titanic black and green dragons were about to meet.
Just above the city. Oh man, Valerius, keep your temper.
But if his words reached Valerius or Raziel, neither of them responded to him. Feeling panicky, Caden looked around for a place to launch himself off. That had worked in the field. The only real hill was over the pool. The water would be a good deterrent for him to fly. It would also be better than landing in the dirt again, if he didn't. Butterflies were filling Caden's chest as he glanced back over his shoulder at Valerius and Ilarion. The green dragon had become aware of the black dragon's presence, and had cut a close corner around High Reach. They were going directly at one another. The black dragon wasn't hurrying, but there was a tenseness about it that told Caden neither Valerius nor Raziel was happy.
Okay, we gotta get up there, Iolaire. Not messing up this time, okay?
Iolaire bobbed its head. Caden took a breath and jogged over to the base of the slight rise overlooking the pool. He had a momentary regret that the green dragon had shown up like this. He and Valerius could have been cleaning up in the pool before getting very dirty again, with Caden paying back Valerius for the favor he had given him earlier.
But no, we're here, and Valerius is going to get into a fight.
Caden shook his head, took a breath, and then raced up the incline.
We have a lot going on with a new release almost every month, multiple audiobooks in production, free books on Amazon every month, special hardcover editions, and who knows, we might decide to do a merch box. How can you stay on top of all of that? By joining our mailing list. It's old-fashioned, but it works. On our mailing list, we can tell you what's happening in detail and send you links to what we're talking about. To join, go to the link in the notes.
It wasn't all that far, and it wasn't all that high. It was maybe 10 feet above the water's surface, if that. Caden's right foot hit the very edge of the hill, and he leaped, and he fell. He belly flopped into the pool. Once more all the air was thrust out of his lungs. His front stung like a son of a bitch. He sank several feet down below the water's surface before he opened his eyes. Below him looked to be a forest of trees. It was some kind of weed that grew from the bottom and waved lazily in the current. The pool was blue-green color because of the plants and the light. It was so beautiful that the pain retreated for a moment, but then he realized that he needed to breathe. Caden scrambled for the surface and took in a great gasping breath. He treaded water, too annoyed with himself to do anything for a moment. What was his problem? Why couldn't he shift? He needed to do it. Why was he failing at it so spectacularly? He swam around to look back towards Reach. The black dragon was hovering, while the green dragon circled it. Caden gritted his teeth.
Valerius is keeping it together, for now.
Grimacing as his body still hurt from impacting the water, Caden slowly swam to shore. Iolaire mimicked the swimming motion with its arms.
Why is this happening? Why can't we just shift? You want to shift, I want to shift. But we cannot shift. Now is not the time to have performance anxiety.
Caden raged. Iolaire let out a hoot of sadness. It didn't know what the problem was either.
We need to be calm. We need to work as one.
Iolaire let out a second hoot in agreement. Caden was sure that this wasn't Iolaire's fault. It must be his. Once he got on shore, water sluicing down his body, he looked over again at Valerius and Ilarion. The green dragon was snapping at Valerius, who remained flapping his wings. It reminded Caden of a cat swiping at a bigger cat to try and start a fight. Eventually, the paw would come down. Caden shook himself.
We need to get up there, Iolaire.
Humans cannot fly.
Iolaire said and fluttered its wings.
Yeah, I know,
Humans cannot fly.
Iolaire repeated, and there was clearly a greater meaning there.
Okay, what do you mean? Humans can't fly. That's why we have to shift and...
Humans cannot fly.
Iolaire said with more insistence. Caden stopped talking and thought about what that meant.
I'm not giving up control. I'm thinking like I'm going to literally be flapping my own wings up there.
Iolaire flapped in response.
Yes, but humans cannot fly.
Right. I need to let go. You need to take over.
Caden closed his eyes and reached for Iolaire in his mind's eye. They could and would never touch in real life. He would never know what it was like to brush his hands over Iolaire's scales or skim them along its wings. But he would never want them to be apart so that this could happen. It meant far more to have them together like this than to simply wish to touch Iolaire. In fact, the moment that his fingers were about to touch Iolaire, just in his mind, a spark formed in the short distance between them. It grew in intensity until it blinded Caden, and then it consumed him. When he blinked, he was looking out through a dragon's eyes. Caden smiled, and the white dragon did too.
Iolaire, you're in charge. Do what we need to do here. I trust your judgment more than mine.
Caden told his spirit. The white dragon tipped back its head and let out a pleased hoot. Then its wings began to flap, and they were airborne. Caden's stomach dropped into his feet at the suddenness of it, almost as if he were on a roller coaster. Iolaire took them up and up and up until the sunlight seemed to suffuse the air around them, and there was nothing else but light. Then they were skimming through the air, being held aloft by unseen currents. His gaze focused on Ilarion and Valerius. The green dragon was still circling and snapping at the black dragon, but he did it a little too close one time and nipped Valerius's left wing. The black dragon let out a roar that seemed to shake the very skies. Through Iolaire's enhanced hearing, Caden could hear people far below crying out in fear. The black dragon's eyes were a sulphurous red, and they were glowering at the green dragon, tracking the titanic beast, waiting for its moment to get revenge.
Iolaire, get us over there, like now!
Caden could almost feel the green dragon's glee at his unexpected victory. He'd gotten a reaction from Valerius. His teeth were strong and sharp. He had bloodied the king. Or that was what Caden thought. Thankfully he could not hear Ilarian's thoughts, but the arrogant way the green dragon flew through the air made Caden pretty certain that his thoughts were likely close to that. At least, he was all arrogance, until Valerius bit back. Once more the green dragon came too close again, perhaps for a second nip, but this time Valerius snapped at Ilarian's right wing and sliced it. The green dragon let out a howl, and green gushes of smoke exited from its mouth. That cloud of what Caden thought might be toxic gas started to drift down towards Reach. Panic filled him, but Valerius saw what was happening as well, and acted. The black dragon opened its mouth and let out a gust of wind, not fire. Caden knew that Valerius had other powers, but this was the first time he'd seen what looked like Superman's powerful breath. It dissipated the foul green gas. Ilarian was still making angry, pained, almost barking noises as his wing gushed black blood that dripped down the webbing. His eyes were a poisonous green-yellow too. They narrowed, and Caden knew he was about to bodily slam into the black dragon.
They're escalating, Iolair. What do we do? Ice them? Will that do anything but piss them off?
Caden was also worried that if they did use their ice breath, that some of the ice might drop down onto the city below and injure someone. He reached out for Valerius's mind, but it was shut off to him. All he heard was an angry hum.
This is really not good.
They can do too much harm. Too much. Must stop them.
Iolair's response was strange.
How are we going to do that? Get between them and... Oh, what the hell?
Iolair opened its mouth and let out a sound. It was a mournful sound. Beautiful, actually, like the beginning of a song. But the effect it had was instantaneous and shocking. The black dragon grimaced and shook its head as if the sound was unpleasant, while the green dragon immediately transformed into his human form. And then Ilarian started falling to earth. But Iolair darted in and caught Ilarian in one of its claws. Iolair then hovered there as it brought the angry and shocked dragon shifter up to eye level. Valerius came in close as well, so that Ilarian was between them. Ilarian was handsome in a hard way. He had chiseled features and short, dark hair. A scowl seemed to be permanently etched on his face. His thick brows were drawn together as he bellowed at them. "What have you done?" Ilarian shouted in a Russian-accented voice. "Release me. If you do not release me, I will make you pay, little dragon."
Make us pay, Willie. Doesn't he see the situation he's in?
Caden laughed. Iolair brought Ilarian nearer to their face and allowed some ice breath to trickle out from between their teeth. The mist curled around Ilarian. He glared but stopped swearing at them. "Release me," Ilarian hissed again. But Iolair shook its head. This caused Ilarian to struggle in Iolair's claws, which was stupid. He would fall unless he could transform back into his dragon shape in time before he hit the ground.
Cannot shift until I let him.
Iolair told Caden.
Holy, really? You can do that?
We can do this. Yes.
Iolair answered simply. Even though Valerius hadn't been affected by the call in the same way, he wasn't looking much happier. His eyes were still a sulphurous red. Caden reached for his mind, but this time he could actually talk to him. "What is the meaning of this, Caden?" Valerius asked. He could hear Raziel in his tone.
Are you okay? How's your wing?
Caden asked, deflecting the answer because he wasn't sure what the answer was, and he was worried about that wing, though it looked completely healed. My wing is fine." Valerius sounded calmer as he heard the concern in Caden's voice. "But there are things of greater import. How did you do this?"
I don't know. I have no idea. Iolair just did it.
Caden looked down at the struggling Ilarian. He was trying to break out of the white dragon's grasp and shift. He could accomplish neither. "This is quite the trick." The black dragon's eyes narrowed. "A useful and dangerous trick. How long can you keep Ilarian like this?"
Let me ask.
Caden turned his attention to Iolair.
How long can you keep him in human form?
Iolair sent the image of day turning to night. But then Iolaire showed him that it could make that less time if it wanted.
It looks like this can last a whole day, but Iolaire can release him any time before that.
Caden told Valerius. Could he do that to any dragon? Valerius asked speculatively.
Ah, but Black Dragon. Black Dragon too strong to make shift. Besides, Iolaire did not want to hurt.
Iolaire suddenly said.
Did you hear that, Valerius?
Caden asked. I did. I felt the power of Iolaire's call, but resisted it, Valerius said. Raziel spoke then.
Iolaire is not as defenseless as we thought. Brave little dragon.
The white dragon tipped its head back, and Caden laughed. Iolaire was preening under Raziel's appreciative gaze.
Are you okay with what we did, Valerius?
Caden asked tentatively. He expected Valerius and Raziel to be furious.
I know that you can handle him, but things were getting sort of heated.
At first, Valerius did not answer. Caden could almost feel Raziel waiting for the Dragon King to speak first. I was not pleased. At first, Valerius admitted. The shock of it was something, but I am glad you did this. I was losing my temper. Once he struck me.
You had to respond in kind, and he's big enough that you had to really take him down.
Caden agreed.
So this was good.
The black dragon seemed to smile. Yes, Caden. You and Iolaire did very well. It makes me curious what else you can do.
Me too.
Caden admitted. Iolaire was still preening and showing off for Raziel, who was giving many admiring glances. Come, let us take Ilarion down to High Reach, Valerius said. I would speak to this fool.
AI voices are getting more and more common on YouTube, and some of them are decent, but this story is completely human-made. I wrote and edited every word of it. An artist drew the cover, and a designer created the thumbnail. Real actors developed the character voices over time and spoke each word into a microphone in a real studio. We always want to do the best job we possibly can, and we believe that working with real actors and artists is the way we can do this. It's only thanks to your support that we can continue in this way. Every shop purchase, subscription to wraithrain.com, Super Chat, and YouTube channel membership helps us create the work that so many people enjoy. Check the links for the different ways you can help us keep producing gay, romantic, action, and adventure stories.